Historically, HR has not been a breeding ground for city managers, and you're in a different situation. But in a way, there's a lot of positives to it. What have you found? What have you seen in that? Not for you to be aggrandizing, but I mean, certainly you come to the table with different benefits that maybe someone with a different background wouldn't have.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that because this is not, this was not something that it was an ambition of mine. It was actually something that I said I would never do. I've spent, my career in terms of just trying to get to yes. And that doesn't mean you always can. Oftentimes the answer is no. But trying to get to yes, and then having the thick skin.
Hi, best friends. How are you doing? I hope your weekend is going to be very enjoyable, and I hope that you don't think about me in all this stuff. And we're going to uncover a lot. And when I say a lot, all right, let's start unpacking.
Yeah.
Before Treasure Island, what was your life like?
Still in HR and still in government. I did another 7 years at the city of Gulfport. We have a small family, but a very tight-knit family. My father's in Jacksonville, and I have a brother up there with him as well. And then I have my daughter. She is 20, and she goes to the University of Central Florida.
All right.
Yeah.
A knight.
Great. She is a knight, and she is looking into public safety. So she's a criminal justice major. So we'll have another public servant in the family. And then my husband is the deputy fire chief of St. Pete Beach.
Ah, very good.
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's great.
So a lot of civic service for your whole family. That's fantastic. What?
For the most part, there's 4 people. There's probably more than that, but there's 4 people we're going to be talking about through this video. And it's going to be Kaylee Valdez, which is the daughter of Jennifer.Poirrier. Then we have Jennifer.Poirrier. She's the city manager. And then we have her husband, Adam.Poirrier. And then we have, Christopher Losky, not really sure. You're probably seeing all their faces up here. All right. And then we're going to get into their homestead exemptions. And I want you to pay attention to the names on these homestead exemptions. And there's one name on all of this that really stands out. Oh, look at that. Kaylee Valdez, Jennifer.Poirrier. This is an application that's pending for a homestead in Clearwater for 2025. Oh, look at this. You got this one with Adam.Poirrier and Jennifer.Poirrier. Oh, look at that. They've been homesteaded for what? 2025, 2024, 2023. Oh, look at this homestead. Remember that Christopher Losky guy I was talking about? Oh, her name's on that property too. And that one's been homesteaded since what? For 2025, 2024, and 2023. All right? And if you don't know anything about, homesteading, if you are on the deed or whatever, you can't keep homesteading things. And here she is homesteading. She's got 2 homesteaded and a 3rd one pending. So, all right. And then we're going to play some of this video so you start to understand what's going on and why they're trying to shut me up. So let's get into it.
Anything further from the city manager?
No, sir. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have in regards to my contract. I did address that at the last meeting, so I don't have any plans to go into that again unless there's any questions.
I have a comment, and maybe I'm asking a request for assistance, talking about that.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So I can attest that she lives in Clearwater. She's my neighbor. The reason why we have a different contract is because a different person. The previous city manager was alone and was moving from another state. So each employment contract is different.
You can't be this stupid. You're honest, like what you're doing is by speaking about all this gives me information so that I can verify this. And guess what? Oh, like I don't have the receipts? Oh, let's do it. Everybody's employee agreement is different, right? Oh, we went back. Oh, I went back deep. You're not going to like this, everybody. Clearwater, you're a bunch of liars. But let's do it. Let's have fun with them. So I can do this real quick. What you're looking at right now is the city charter. The city charter basically tells the city manager, the city attorney, and all the council members that they have to be a resident of Clearwater, period. Then we're going to get into these contracts. They said, oh, these contracts, they're all different. They're not different. I've got the contracts from 1994. Nothing really changed until we got towards Poirier. So the first one you're going to look at, this one's going to be from Bill Horn. The second one you're looking at is from John Jennings. And the third one you're looking at is coming from Jennifer.poirrier. Pause if you need to, look it over, and you tell me in the comment section if there's something different about these contracts. But we're going to let these council members keep digging themselves their own grave at this point. I mean, geez.
My understanding, and I was told I was correct, there is no mandate to own property, just to reside. She doesn't have to sell property, she doesn't have to buy property, just reside in Clearwater. And that she does. However, I would like some assistance from City Attorney Margolis to speak to this matter in a clear, concise way, because you can best describe her contract and how she is adhering to it, please, if you don't mind.
That's even funnier. Margolis, she just threw you under the bus. And so now we're going to get the attorney's version of events. Because once again, remember, John Jennings, he had to reside there. The charter, they have to reside there. And she's like, oh, she says she resides there, but we all know that there's 3 people living in this 1,000 square foot home. So, I don't know. I just think it's funny. But now we're going to get some real explanations, because guess what? Take it over, attorney.
Well, I mean, the issue is pretty straightforward from my perspective. So, as Councilmember Teixeira pointed out, we have a residency requirement for both the city attorney and the city manager. That's common. A lot of cities do. Not every city, but Clearwater is certainly among them. As a quick aside, I've made the observation privately to a few people that the requirement that a city manager in particular reside within the city of their employment is at times a questionable proposition. I'm not sure as a policy matter that the benefits of that actually outweigh some of the harms. The dangers I have seen in some cities, and not Clearwater, but the dangers I have seen in some cities, and we know there's commissioner-manager governments all over the United States, is that allegations and perceptions can arise of a city manager favoring their part of the city and their neighborhood, their community, their area. So if it was up to me, our city charter probably wouldn't make it a requirement in the first place.
Well, that's why they put the city charter. That's why they have this ordinance, because that's what the city, the people of Clearwater want from you. She gets paid $240,000 to sit on that seat and not live in Clearwater. Even though the city charter says it, and even though just about everybody that was before she got in office had to live in the city, but because of her and her husband and her daughter, Kaylee Valdez, that all work for the city of this, they work for the government basically, they finagled away. But I'm still kind of curious who rechanged what is in the contract. I still haven't gotten clarity on. I think it was the attorney, but I'm not saying it is. I'm just thinking out loud and just making an observation. But let's continue.
That said, it is a requirement in a lot of cities, has been going back probably 100 years in America. So that is going to be the way it is, until the city charter is amended. True for the city attorney as well. As far as the language specifically in the current city manager's contract, let me say a few things. First, that language has not changed since the council approved her contract in April of 2023. And so for anyone to suggest that the language has changed, we need to be more precise. Nothing has changed in the past 13 or 14 months relating to her contract. No one has asked me to make any changes, either the city manager, the city council, or anyone else. I think what people are really saying is that the current city manager's contract is phrased differently than that of the prior city manager. I would agree with that. That is a true statement. I don't find it to be remarkable. If we look at the specific changes or the specific aspects of her contract compared to that of the previous city manager, what exactly are the differences? Well, as we heard earlier from one citizen, it is true that the residency requirement relating to this city manager is spelled out in much greater detail than that of the prior city manager. But unlike the citizen who commented earlier, that is not to give any special treatment to our current city manager. On the contrary, I actually find the language in her contract to be far more onerous and far more restrictive than the previous city manager had to endure. The previous city manager was required only to reside within the city. There was no explanation of what would happen in relation to Homestead, no explanation of what would happen to family members. None of that was spelled out in detail. How would he provide evidence of his residency within the city of Clearwater? We took the time to ensure that the council would have detailed information from the city manager in regards to establishing how that residency is known. So yes, it is a 3-paragraph provision, but that's not because there's any special privileges. On the contrary, there are special burdens that our current city manager has been given that were not placed on her predecessor.
Exactly. What he just said. How did they know the other guy just had to claim residency, right? But that's in the charter. So how would anybody prove that somebody actually lived where they said they do? All I know is that Poirrier's got 3 different properties, and the one that she just magically got right before the deadline, she magically got. And like I said, they're all magically getting, all of them are getting homesteaded. You've got the one for Clearwater pending. The other 2 that have her name on it, they've been accepted for the last, from 2023 until present day, until 2025. So there's something fishy going on here. Somebody needs to be alerted.
So I find that statement to be rather surprising. As far as the city manager's spouse, the previous city manager was not married, which is why there was no reference to their spouse. In addition to that, the previous city manager, as Councilmember Teixeira pointed out, was relocating from a different state. Now, I was not present in the city of Clearwater when the prior manager's contract was drafted, so I don't want to speak to what my predecessor was thinking or what she discussed with the council at the time. But from my perspective, I think it protects both the manager and the council to have an open dialogue in the contract as to how to handle a spouse when you hire a city manager who is married, who owns property somewhere else in Florida. The concern from my standpoint, and certainly one that was discussed with the council members at the time when Jennifer was appointed as city manager, is how to navigate homestead issues relating to residency, right? Anyone who owns property with a spouse understands that you're probably on the title, probably on the deed together. And if you have to move into the city of Clearwater, how do you deal with the fact that your spouse jointly owns property with you outside the city?
Yes, Mr. Attorney, that's a real good question. Why don't you look? Are you looking at all this stuff up here? These are all properties that have Jennifer.Poirrier's name on it, and they are all being homesteaded. And the only one that's not homesteaded yet is the one that's in Clearwater that's going to be homesteaded in, or possibly it's pending in 2025. So what's the deal?
Now, sure, we could have just glossed over that. That would have been the easy thing to do. That would have been the opaque thing to do. I could have written this contract in a way that was silent, made no acknowledgement or recognition. That, I believe, would have been a disservice to everyone in this city, including the city manager. So instead of doing that, we set the expectations very clearly as to how she could establish residency, specifying that she would even have to go so far as to affirmatively notify the property appraiser that she was no longer living with her husband at the home they jointly own as a marital estate outside the city of Clearwater, but elsewhere in Pinellas County. So these protections in here, in this contract, are designed to uphold the public trust, to provide transparency as to the process, to give certainty as to how we establish someone's residency, and to avoid any confused expectations either from the manager with whom the contract was negotiated, the council with whom the manager and I serve, and the general public. I just don't understand where people are coming from here, because I find nothing wrong with what was done. And as far as I know, the city manager is in full compliance with the contract. I have zero concerns. I regret only the fact that I've had to take the last 7 minutes of my life explaining this.
Dude, you think your job's hard? Man, right now, between all this editing I'm doing, I've spent over an hour doing this video just for you guys, just to help you understand what pieces of shit you guys are. You're lying, you're like, oh, whatever. And we're, at the end of this video, we are literally gonna break this whole thing down line by line. And if you wanna go back to wherever you saw some of it, hit pause, watch it, read it yourself. But I am going to talk about it at the end of this video. But you thought it was over? Nah. Cue up the mayor, or cue up whoever else wants to talk about it, because I don't think it's over.
Okay, we'll move to the next item on the agenda. That's closing comments by mayor. So I have several things tonight. I just want to say first, to echo what some of the other council members said about the city manager. I've had an opportunity to work with the city manager now for going on 3 months now, and I can tell the public she doesn't hide anything. She's completely transparent. She's been completely transparent with us.
If this was completely transparent and I wasn't doing all these records requests, then why doesn't she just say, I live with my daughter and I'm not married to my husband, or whatever the fact may be? All I know is that she has 3 properties and they're all being homesteaded. And guess what? At the end of this, we're going to really find out. But right now, all we hear is that you're trying to defend something that is, right now, from the proof that I've got, guess what? It seems like she's lying, or somebody's lying. We know the lawyer, he changed the agreement from the previous one, and even the ones before him. So there's something weird, and I don't know why they're trying to protect her. And you know something? My whistleblowers are getting closer. So thank you to the first responders. You know who you are. Thank you for the people that are inside City Hall. Thank you for not the people at the records department, but thank you for the people inside City Hall that have the dirt. And then thank you for all the people in the surrounding counties, from Largo, Dunedin, friggin' Treasure Island. Everywhere in the surrounding area, people are reaching out to me daily. Daily. I put out another video, I'll get 4 emails from somebody around the surrounding area. So the more you talk, the worse it gets. So please, keep talking. Keep talking.
About her residence and with the city attorney, she's never tried to hide or she's not trying to put one over on anybody. She has, in my opinion, and as far as I know, fulfilled all of the contractual responsibilities that she agreed to. And she's been very transparent about that. And we, the city attorney holds all of us accountable on a number of things, following Florida law, following our charter, and he holds us to make sure we're following our contractual commitments as well. So I just want the public to know that any confusion, there is some confidentiality that the city manager's afforded, and some for public records because of her family being participating as a firefighter in the state of Florida that gives some protection on information. But she has been completely transparent on everything and in all respects. And I have full confidence she's meeting her contractual commitments with the city of Clearwater to fill the role as city manager. And then the second thing I wanted to say is just, the issue that's come up tonight, and again, we've had some speakers here, one that had to be removed, and complained repeatedly about having to drive 4 hours from the east coast of Florida to get here, and all the time he'd spent, researching. We have a solution for his challenge, and that is don't. The Clearwater citizens do not want him coming here repeatedly, dragging at our meetings, costing the taxpayers money by causing these meetings to go on and on and on.
We don't like your kind here. You're not allowed here. Your freedom and all the things that you say, no. You can't bring all that mess here. But a good friend of mine, his name's Rogue Nation. Oh, well, I hope that they actually listen to some of the words that Rogue said, and let's play it. Hopefully they rehear this exact clip.
So if it's a problem for you to drive all this distance for these meetings, don't. No one, I haven't spoken with one Clearwater citizen who wants him here. And
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I bet you that hurt your feelings real bad. Oh, Mr. Rector's hurt because he actually has people that do want him there. And I guarantee all the whistleblowers that I have, why do you think they keep sending me this information? Why? Because they want me there. They want me to speak on their behalf. But you ain't learned that yet.
You're not supposed to interrupt another speaker, Brian. I know. Well, you told me the other day you didn't, Mr. Olympus, so you didn't want anything to do with him. So, Mr. Enderley, I don't know. Let me finish, if you would, okay? All we ask is that you come in here, and we don't interrupt you when you talk, but you're respectful and you respect everybody else here. And some folks have a hard time doing that. They did fine on a number of issues, but when it came time for them to put on a show, they put on their show. This is not the place for a show. This is a place for us to conduct city business, and we're going to conduct it according to meetings to keep it organized and reduce the time that the city taxpayers are paying for running this meeting. And more than anything, the thing I've been the most concerned about is a dampening effect on Clearwater citizens who have legitimate local issues being uncomfortable now coming to meetings because of folks coming in from 4 hours away to create a circus, and we don't want that. We want this to be a welcoming, inviting place, and that's why I have repeatedly said, everyone's entitled to come up and speak, but be respectful to the other folks here.
Listen up, man. This is how this works. I don't talk to your residents. I've spoken to probably about 5 or 6 residents. One of them is Haluba. I do not speak to your residents. And for the most part, you just don't like the words that come out of my mouth. You want me to say it all, hi everybody, I'm so nice, and I'm gonna say it all nice and cordial. Dude, Clearwater has done so many things to me that the second you want to start punishing people that have done things to me, then maybe I'll be a lot nicer. But all I know is that you keep lying, I keep exposing these lies, and then you double down on the lie, and then eventually, guess what? You've got too many lies that I'm literally getting these records, and I'm getting these records, and I'll keep exposing it. Period.
Who may have some other issue that's just as important to them, but do it in a respectful way. That's all we ask, and that's all we ask going forward. But this is just a distraction, and a very small distraction.
Yeah, if this was a small distraction, right? Why are you even talking about it? Obviously, I've gotten under the thin skin of the entire city of Clearwater. That's what it sounds like. Except for my whistleblowers, Mr. Haluba, and all my good friends that showed up, and trust me, I'll see you on July 15th. And you are definitely not going to like July 15th.